Ready? Okay. Japan, Taiwan, or China, Singapore, and Korea. Now, what do these countries have in common? Well, first of all, as you may know, these are the leading countries that have become economic giants within the last 20 years. And also, as you may all know, they are the countries that have very few natural resources to rely on. Therefore, they can only focus on international trade to become economically strong in the future. Also, as we may know, English is the international language for business, and therefore an indispensable part of the future of all these Asian countries rely on English. Many Asians learn English grammar and also English vocabulary in school. But have you noticed that most of them are literally unable to speak the language? Conversational English skills are a tremendous advantage in the workplace and also in the fierce competition for places or positions in prestigious universities in the universities in Asia and also worldwide. As a result, as you may see, millions of students of all ages and backgrounds attend private institutes or also receive private or group tutorings. And also as a result of this, there is a multi-billion-dollar English industry out there and an enormous demand for instructors across Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you here are future to-be teachers. For the next few minutes, I would like to introduce to you a type of English language school which is quite unique and becoming very much popular throughout Asia and especially in Korea. This English language school is known as private company lectures. Throughout this presentation, I will introduce to you the basic structures or components that are involved in a company lecture, and also the qualifications that are essential to work as a company lecturer. Some companies, as you know, expect their staff to achieve a certain level of English proficiency, and most companies stress conversational skills as being mandatory to survive in the business world today. As a result, more and more companies are sponsoring English classes for their staff during, before, or after the working hours. For example, the early morning classes, which are usually formed in groups of 5 to 15 members, would generally begin around 7, and depending on the company, it would last from 15 minutes to 2 hours. Usually, the private lessons are received by executives, and usually they begin around 6:30. What I mean by lessons being held during the working hours refers to the lunchtime period. Now, most of the employers give their employees about an hour for lunchtime. Usually these students, they contribute about 30% of the lunchtime period and also about 20 to 30% of their working time to receive these lessons. In continuation, there are also the evening classes. Right, and usually these evening classes are held after the working hours have finished. And usually it's done around 6 or 7. And finally there is the weekend class, which is usually held on Saturdays. Now these students would come all the way to the company to receive roughly around a 3-hour lecture. Now, and usually, depending on the company, the sessions are held about 3 times or more per week. The levels and courses being offered by these company sessions, are set or alike. Usually there are pre-beginners, beginners, intermediate, and the advanced levels. Now, each level usually offers basic to situational English conversation, and also, but if you're a student of intermediate or advanced level, you're eligible to receive or to participate in business English conversation classes. Now, in conversation English classes, usually dialogues are used to introduce useful expressions, idioms, phrasal verbs, or vocabulary. In these classes, not only do the students want to learn useful expressions that are commonly used in America or in the States, but they also have deep interest into getting to know the customs and cultures of these English-speaking countries. Regarding the personally, from my own experience to tell you, I use newspaper articles, magazine articles, Dear Abby columns, comics, visual aids, meaning I use a lot of sitcoms like Seinfeld or Friends, and also I use a lot of movies. I've realized that throughout my experience that visual aids tend to be the most effective of all. As in relation to the business communication courses, students are taught about customs and cultures that are being exercised in the involved business countries. And also, they learn the ways to make effective presentations and ways to participate or carry on meetings or negotiations. Most of the time, the students are given the choice to choose the type of material or book that are to be used in the sessions. Therefore, depending on the company and their purpose for learning, the materials or the resources to be used for the sessions can very much vary. To become a company lecturer, I would like to mention, there are certain essential credentials that are important. First of all, you need to be a people person. Now, I'm not quite sure if you know what a people person means, but it means that you need outstanding interpersonal skills. Now, as you may know, you're dealing with people that are unique, grown-up individuals. Now, there's a good chance that you may possibly lose control over these people, and if you don't have these people skills. This can definitely prove to be a very tricky test for many, because starting from the first day, starting from the first minute that you enter into that classroom, you're responsible to treat and deal with each and every one of them uniquely, showing personal interest, and also trying to get that person involved. At the same time, it's also a challenge because you need to unify each member as one. Secondly, you must be punctual. Now, these are businessmen that you're dealing with, and for them, time tends to be everything. And thirdly, you need to be dynamic, creative, and also very flexible. Most of these students wake up an hour early to attend your class. Most of these students are attending your class after they have just eaten lunch. And most of these students are attending after a long day of work. You need to be energetic. You need to show enthusiasm. You need to show power and dynamism. These can be shown through your gestures and also your voice. Earlier I said to you that you need to be flexible, meaning depending on your students, depending on their needs, you need to alter or modify your methods of approaching the students or in the ways and the materials that you use to teach them. Now in conclusion, please ask yourself this. Do I possess any of the credentials that was presented to me earlier? Am I someone that likes challenges and working with people? If you answered yes to any one of those two questions, then I would like to welcome you. And I would like to welcome you into the world of teaching at companies. You might consider yourself an eligible candidate for this position. Thank you.